So my older sister, brother, and I all play guitar. We all picked it up junior high type of year, which is slightly surprising because we weren't the biggest musical family. My parents weren't that musical. There'd always be records playing, and it'd be big band, some Broadway records going, and as Kathy and Mike and I got older, you'd have some Partridge Family, John Denver, Beatles, Kiss, whatever we were into at that time. My mom had a really nice voice. She sang some in high school, but I mostly heard her singing at church. My dad couldn't sing his way out of a paper bag. If he were to turn on a radio, it was going to be a football game or a basketball game or a baseball game. But he did play the harmonica. And I remember when we were real little kids, he would, be putting us to bed, and yeah, we'd have a story or something, but he'd pull out his harmonica. You get songs like "You Are My Sunshine," "Oh Susanna," "Silent Night" around the holidays, but that was it. He knew like 4 or 5 songs. My dad grew up in northwest Iowa on a farm. They were poor, something he would never admit to and something I didn't realize until much later in life. My grandparents never owned the land that they farmed. They're often buying seed in the spring on the hope that they had a good enough crop that fall. Dad's stories of growing up on a farm were always fun stories. There was sledding on the way to and from school. There was taking a shotgun and knocking the crows off the top of the barn and then listening to the cows moo on the other side of the barn when all the shot fell down over there. But nothing about music in their family either. It was just, never came up. When I was in high school, my parents got divorced, and Dad moved out to Milwaukee. And about 10 or so years later, Dad met, fell in love, and married Geraldine. Jerry's wonderful. Some of my best times with Jerry were actually when my dad wasn't there. Because Dad and Jerry, they were like high schoolers in puppy love, and here they are in their 70s and 80s. And it was cute. It was also really annoying at times. So I enjoyed sometimes just Jerry and I talking, because then we could be adults and not have to worry about her crush boy Ray having to pop in on everything or smack her on the butt. In December of 2009, Dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. This is not a story about that, though. It just explains why the following year he was in a rehabilitation facility getting over all the effects of chemo and radiation and everything else. And the facility was really nice. I remember it sort of like my college dorm room. You had several 2-person rooms, and they had a central suite, which is nice. As you're in the rooms, it's a very hospital setting. But as people are getting a little stronger, they're able to, sit on a couch. There's magazines, there's a TV, just a little normalcy and everything else that people are going through there. And for some reason, in the side of this suite was a small piano. I was out there visiting in spring, and Dad's getting a little healthier, is getting some of his strength back. And so he could now sometimes walk out. He's even using a walker, and things are getting better. And I'm out there, and Jerry's there, and we're chatting, and he's walking out a bit, and he's like, "I want to go see the piano." Okay. Jerry and I helped my dad over the piano, and he's like, "Can you open up the keyboard?" Why? I want to play it. Jerry and I are like, okay, let's amuse him. 1, Dad's a practical joker. 2, maybe some of those drugs are still affecting him a little bit. But then this poor farm boy from northwest Iowa puts his hands on the keyboard, starts playing "You Are My Sunshine," "Oh Susanna," "Silent Night," but that's it. Jerry and I are in shock. Like, what? She's been married to him for 11 years. They had known each other about 15. I'd known him for 45 years at that point. Never did he mention playing the piano, any other thing musical other than occasionally pulling out that harmonica. So of course, Jerry and I are like, what's going on? And she's like, Ray. I wish I could emulate her great Wisconsin accent, but I can't. But she's like, Ray, you never mentioned this. And she's almost upset with him that he hadn't told her in 11 years of marriage that he could play 4 or 5 songs on the piano. He really didn't have an answer. It was like, oh, something I learned. And Jerry and I pressed him a bit, but that was it. Our afternoon went on to other things. So I have no idea where my dad learned the piano. I was hoping for some great story of there was some girl in high school or college and he was trying to impress her. Or maybe growing up on a farm in Northwest Iowa, he wanted to be a musician, but it was something outside of their ability to offer their kids. But sometimes I can imagine he's working a farm field, taking a little break, eating a lunch of fresh tomatoes out of a paper sack, sitting on a fence post, and just pulling out that harmonica and playing a few tunes. Thank you all.
On a dark, homeless night with the stairs